Look at how this cover crop holds moisture versus the forest right next to it. This is a testament to it, folks. You dig into that soil, you'll still find some moisture in there even. I mean, we're in North America in general is hurting for moisture, up except for a few states in the Indiana, Illinois area. We're all hurting. So this is a testament, folks.
Okay, here we are, April 21st of 2022. A lot of people are talking about if there is a drought in the western corn belt that the markets may react to it, but we are in a drought. There's no question about it. Now, if you take a look, you want to pan to, we're down on some river bottom ground here, and you can see the forest, then the trees and the riverbed have not begun to green up really at all, other than just some grass. And I know a lot of guys are struggling to plant in our area. I've talked to a lot of them, and they've asked me, they said, well, that cover crop's got to be a real bummer because it's probably sucking moisture out of the ground. And honestly, what I've found is that the cover crop helps hold the moisture in the ground. You know, we've had blowing dirt, just blowing. We have blowing dirt warnings for 2 weeks. The wind's been blowing 70 miles an hour. And this cover crop, much like a lawn, if you come out at night and wipe your hands over it, it's wet. And it's the natural, you know, it sucks the moisture molecules out of the air and onto the plant tissue. And it also pulls a little bit of moisture up from the subsoil, which is very interesting. And so you can see, I mean, we actually have, and I mean, this is dry, but we actually have some pretty decent subsoil moisture, and this cover crop doesn't really start to use much water until it gets about an inch tall, or excuse me, a foot tall. About a foot tall, it'll start using a little water, but we're talking about 5-10 hundredths a day. But that's how dry we are out here. And you know, I know anywhere we did tillage, it's just the top 4 inches is completely dry. Everywhere we've got cover crops, we can get seeds into moisture, but it's going to be a dang good thing that we have the ability to irrigate food this year. One word for 2022 would be commodities. Keep an eye on them. For example, there's some decent moisture there. I mean, there's enough moisture to maybe, boy, this, I just have not seen a farm this dry April 21st, God, in a decade, man. I mean, really concerning. Thank goodness we have the ability to irrigate 80-90% of our farm.
Thank God.
Responsibly. Well, and that's just, you know, thankfully we sit over the deepest part of the Ogallala Aquifer, which the state of Nebraska, I'll give them credit, one of the few states that actually, everybody asks, why don't people pump water out of the ground, out of the Ogallala Aquifer, and ship it to California or the East Coast? I always say, well, because it's against a shitload of really good laws. You can't. Otherwise, there would be no aquifer underneath us. It'd be pumped dry and shipped out of here. The problem of the commons. You can own the mineral rights to your soil in Nebraska, but you do not own the air above it. You do not own the water underneath it. Therefore, you cannot legally sell it, which honestly, a lot of people have tried. A lot of people have failed, and there's just too many people that, I mean, we are the sons of the Ogallala. Just too many people that understand that this is one of the world's, I think this is the world's 2nd or 3rd largest natural Argentine aquifer in the world. Right here, and it basically goes from, parts of South Dakota. It used to go just right into a little part of it, extreme western Kansas, Oklahoma, and it used to have a little bit down in Texas, but Texas has different laws, and guess what they did? They pumped it dry. They literally pumped it dry. They're putting pivots on to pivots that they used to run down in Texas are being put on trucks and shipped up north where there's water. Nebraska is now the #1 cattle producing state in the United States. Want to guess why? Because we have water. So three of the largest seed corn plants in the world are like 80 miles that way, 50 miles that way, and 70 miles that way for a reason. They're here because of the water. And being a responsible steward of that, I have to give Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, the credit it deserves in that regard, that it has not allowed some company or billionaire or Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk to come in and just buy our water rights. I've been worried about that for years, but if you look into it, there really is no path to get there. Which makes me feel a lot better at night.
No Bill Gates.
You're right. Yeah, I assume they'll come up with like an offset program, where maybe if you don't plant a food crop, you could take the water that you would have used, because everything's measured in feet, acre, inches out here. It's feet, acre, inches. So think about a foot of water sitting on top of this, a foot of water deep across an acre, okay, or an inch of water deep across an acre. That's a foot, acre, inch is what they call that. And everything's measured in foot, acre, inches in terms of your water usage. Now here's some, we're digging right in the bottom of a sand. Oops, there's a seed that come up, popped up. They're should be about 6.14 inches apart according to my monitor. My awesome Green Star monitor. Anybody out there that's running ag leader, let me know if you like them better, because John Deere's having a hard time keeping up with just parts and just equipment. I think everybody is. I don't think it's a unique John Deere problem. Just curious, like John Stevens, I know you're up there in Minnesota, you run ag leader. I ran an ag leader. Remember that? Why can't I find a seed here? I must be off the trench. There we go. Yeah, you got to plant deep into the moisture. John Stevens is up there in Minnesota. He's running ag leader, and I know we got a couple guys around here that run ag leader. But the problem that everybody runs into is when you have a problem, the ag leader people point at John Deere, and the John Deere people point at ag leader. And so
Who done it?
Well, it's just John Deere's just big on what they call it, green on green solutions. But John Stevens will attest to it. He's got an AGCO tractor. He's basically got a Klaus. And he used to work for John Deere, and he saw a number of our videos, loves our tractors. He's like, oh man, you guys have the best, like this 8345 RT, without emissions on it. I mean, it's just 2010, about 3,500 hours on it. I mean, had a guy offer me about 3 times what I paid for it 4 years ago this spring. Thought, I could almost just retire from farming, selling that tractor, but I really do love it. I really do. That tractor's goes like God, wife, family tractor or something like that. I forget how it goes, but it's a shout out. You're always riding your horse, man. Back in the old days, you used to hang horse thieves. You lost your horse out in the middle of nowhere, you were done. Yeah, I mean, that was game over, man. That was not messing around. That's what these modern day tractors are. They're horses.
Oh, they're horse, oxen, fucking everything in one.
Yep. And so it's just one of those where I don't know that you'll ever part me from that tractor. I'll probably drive that tractor till I die. I'll be out here 74 years old if I make it that long. Farmers don't ever retire. This life just retires you when it's done with you. That's what I've decided.
Farmers don't retire. We just
you know,
slowly get taken to the funny farm.
Yeah, you just, this life's done with it. It retires you when it's done with you. I mean, there's some, you know, the fact that there's even a noticeable amount of moisture. Like in one of the previous videos that we were just shooting some ad-lib video here today. I had a number of my neighbors call me and say, boy, I bet that cover crop is just bumming you out. And I said, what do you mean? I said, well, it's just so dry, that cover crop's got to be sucking moisture, you know. And there's a lot of guys that have gone out and planted just rye cover crop. And the last 2 years we've gotten good winters, good overwintering winters for cover crops, and rains that kept them out of the field, and the rye got to be 3 feet tall, and it was a real problem. Any farmer out there that grows cover crops know what I'm talking about. Well, I plant something called, well, here, it's right here. This is Elbon cereal rye, and then there's a little bit of clover that you can see come up, and just some winter wheat. Can't kill winter wheat. Here's the Austrian winter pea. But that Elbon cereal rye, and when you plant 3 or 4 species together, it kind of holds it back. But I mean, you can see this was drilled September 20th of 2021, and it's April 21st of 2022, and it's been such a droughted conditions that, look, it's, I mean, 6 inches tall, 4 inches tall. I mean, if you just kind of scan the field real quick, you can see. Now what I've noticed this cover crop's been doing for us is when you come out at night and you wipe your hand across it, or you walk through the field, it's just like your lawn. Your shoes and your hands, the plant tissue draws the night moisture into it. You can come out first thing in the morning and you can see little strips of moisture dripping off the plant. And actually, you know, we've had so much, for 10 days, 12 days in a row, we've had blowing dirt warnings because of all the bare and work dirt. I mean, the whole United States is just bare soil right now, and it's just blowing away. And so that's one thing that this cover crop, actually, that wind just blew the moisture out of the top 3 inches of soil. I mean, it just blew the moisture pure out of the top 2-3, and it blew some moisture out of our soil too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, cover crops aren't they're not like magical, but what it did is it held the soil down, and honestly, it pulls a little bit of the moisture up from the subsoil and saves a little bit, you know, whatever moisture it can draw out of the air. So it's been I think without cover crops, we'd be even drier than we are. It was a tough winter for cover crops, man. Not every species that we planted made it through the winter. I mean, just a testament to, what did we say earlier? I think I looked it up. I think the state of Nebraska is saying we got seriously 3.12 inches of usable moisture since November 1 of 2021. So that's like almost 5 months. There's a seed, just perfect. See, there's an undisturbed one right there. That's how you don't want to disturb it. See that grain just barely moved it. I mean, there's enough moisture to germinate that seed just because it's packed well, but still. But I would say that overall, you know, no matter what you do, well, you know, a lot of guys start out first year just planting some winter wheat or some rye or something, just a single species. I mean, the biggest thing I have to say about cover crops is they're great. I mean, they really, any cover crop is better than nothing. If you're just dipping your toe into it and you just want to try one species for simplification and you don't want to spend the funds on it, that's fine. Just whatever you do, don't let it get in the way of your cash crop. I mean, feel free to get your field planter ready, you know. I mean, farmers will use the term terminate. Regenerative guys don't terminate. What they do is they just roll it over. It's not necessarily terminating it. There's a number of different ways to get it planter ready. You can use a herbicide and a spray if you'd like, or you can use a mechanical roller, more natural methods, which, you know, anytime you can keep a herbicide or a tillage machine off of your ground, the better. A lot of people don't think about that, but herbicides is chemistry. Chemistry gets into this biology, and every time you apply a herbicide, it's kind of like a necessary evil. I don't know, what would you compare it to? Like gasoline, you know? You don't want to take a shower in gasoline, but you do want to put it in your vehicle to get you somewhere. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. We're just digging every single row here because this is a seed corn planter. See, there's one that's a little shallow on me. I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Let's see if that's an anomaly. I mean, you can just tell, see the color of the soil here. This is a really good and bad spot to set a planter because it's very uneven ground. If you can, god dang it, move that one. If you can get the planter set decent right here, then you're probably good everywhere. There we go. There's one, that one. Let's take a look at row 7 here. I mean, everything's doing what it should be doing. It's probably just the area. Going here, but that's the biggest thing. Elbon cereal rice. See, there's another one.
That's pretty shallow.
Yeah, Elbon cereal rye. For those of you guys who want to try, I wouldn't waste your time if you're not putting a legume in, but if you want to just plant some grasses, I mean, that's better than nothing. I mean, that's basically all that really made it. Some winter peas made it, but nothing like compared to 2020 and 2021 winter, or 2019 and 2020, the winters of both of those years. Man, Austrian winter peas just, oh wow, couldn't believe how too many of them made it. So I cut the rate way back, and I mean, that could be part of it. We need to cut a little bit more. I think cranking up that down pressure will help, which is what we did. The pneumatic down pressure on the planter, just super nice to have. But see, right here is just hard clay. That's why they're not, I mean, it's just hard. This portion of the field has been little neck of the woods. You know, and look, you can see, look around at the trees, they're not even budding. It's so dry that the creek bottom has not even come to life yet, and somehow we have green under our feet. So I would say that the cover crop has been a net positive, even though it wasn't the best winter for sustaining cover crops just because of the drought. And it was like 55 degrees Christmas Day. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And then it was like 22 below zero
like Valentine's
January 25th. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you had it trying to grow like it thinks it's spring in December, and then it just gets smoked up. I mean, and that happened all winter. It was 50 degrees or 20 below. There wasn't a lot in between. I mean, it was 50 degrees till December. Shoot, I remember my kids complaining there was no snow at Christmas, and literally we were outside playing football on Christmas Day in our backyard, and then it went straight from about 45 to 50 degree days to like 15 below with just an Arctic blast. Gotta find my trench here.
Wish me luck, gentlemen. Home is a mile away, but fuck.
2 here and see if it just smooths itself out.
Get back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you. Raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost. We gotta take it down. Let you down slow. It's hard to survive.
Nice.
El Dorado. Oh, Lord. Well, let's see how that one went.
Yeah.